In El Paso today, federal authorities file a criminal complaint against 27-year-old Gregory Keith Robinson and 26-year-old Jaquan Bray for conspiring to possess with intent to distribute marijuana, end quote. All right, so now that's a start. But as always, it's coming down to the details. According to a press release, quote, on Monday evening, the defendants approached the Sierra Blanca checkpoint station where a U.S. Border Patrol Canine United alert on their vehicle. Agents asked the driver to park the vehicle in the secondary inspection area for further investigation. A subsequent inspection of the vehicle by agents revealed the presence of approximately 157 pounds of marijuana inside several large duffel bags in the rear cargo area, end quote. 157 pounds. 157 pounds of cron. 157. That is the weight of an adult male. Greg Robinson was rolling around with Manny Pacquiao's body weight in weed in the back of his SUV. Manny Pacquiao's body weight and then some. 157 pounds is a lightweight UFC fighter before a weight cut. That weed would have to get into a sauna and drop 2 pounds before it would be allowed to get in the cage with Khabib. And this guy is just driving around with all of that in the back of his car. 157 pounds is more than I weigh right now. I would have to hit a few In-N-Out chocolate shakes to ding the scale with what that guy had in the back of his truck. 157. But before you next start saying that he's the next Pablo Escobar, depending on the quality of the product, he was driving around with anywhere between 300 grand and 750 gur in street value pot. Now that seems like a lot of money, right? Until you remember that Greg Robinson's salary with the Browns last season was $5.5 million before roster bonuses. In other words, this guy's driving around with roughly a game check of cron. And for that, he is now facing the possibility of 20 years in prison. They got a word for something like that. Dumbass.
Yeah.
Dumbass. As always, I hope that was worth it. Although I know it's not. This guy's looking at possibly doing 20 in the joint when he was an active NFLer like 20 minutes ago. He's an even worse drug dealer than he was an offensive tackle. And he was a terrible offensive tackle. Because the details of this are amazing. Check it out. According to the affidavit, in support of the complaint, they weren't just found with duffel bags full of vacuum-sealed plastic bags of marijuana. They were also found with the following: 23 glass mason jars, a, quote, very large and very heavy automatic 420 single-ended electric can sealer, an electric scale, and approximately $3,100 in cash. Yeah, pretty hard to get away with the personal consumption defense when you've got an adult body's weight of the lettuce, vacuum sealed, in duffel bags, and even tougher when you've got a scale, 23 mason jars, and a jar sealer with you as well. I mean, hell, it's like a mobile office. Practically a mobile meth lab, except it was pot and not meth. I mean, it's not quite Nate Newton getting pulled over with 213 pounds of weed, getting charged, getting released on bond, and then getting pulled over 6 weeks later with 175 pounds of weed. But man, it's pretty close. You aren't knocking on Nate Newton's door, but you're in Nate Newton's neighborhood. He sees you and he respects you, Greg Robinson. And it gets even more absurd because Robinson and Bray were not the only two people in that vehicle. There was a third. Let me go back to the press release for this key detail. Quote, the complaint affidavit further states that Robinson rented the vehicle in Los Angeles on Sunday and had arranged for a third individual in the vehicle, an Uber driver that he had met in 2018, to drive him and Bray to Louisiana. End quote. Man, this is so good. I hope it never ends. The third individual was an Uber driver that Robinson met in 2018. He's referred to in the affidavit as passenger 2. And this individual, who has not been charged, said that he or she met Robinson in Louisiana in 2018. Robinson paid he or she to do some extra driving and run some errands. So for this trip, Robinson told passenger 2 that he and a friend would be going from LA back to Louisiana, and then Robinson would pay for passenger 2 to drive them, as well as cover hotel and flight for passenger 2. Yeah, I don't know. I don't do it, but if you were an Uber driver, how hyped would you be on a ride from LA to Louisiana? Good work if you can get it, allegedly. So Robinson picks up passenger 2 at a Motel 6 near LAX at 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday. When passenger 2 tried to put his or her bag in the back of the car, Bray grabbed it and put it behind the passenger seat instead. Just so we are clear, they're driving 157 pounds of the hippie lettuce from Cali to Louisiana with an Uber driver. Yo, Greg, the hell were you doing?
What were you doing?
Just taking all that pot in California and moving it to Louisiana? And how the hell did you get to the Sierra Blanca checkpoint if you're going from California to Louisiana? Like, I know it's tempting to just get on the 10, head east, put it on cruise control. However, if you're driving with Conor McGregor's weight in weed in the back, I don't know, maybe go a little farther north. And I don't know, maybe you try to avoid all the checkpoints and the drug-sniffing canines. Yeah, funny we bring that up, because passenger 2 claims that at one point when they were driving, passenger 2 was a little over the speed limit. A police car turns on its lights. Robinson and Bray started getting, quote, very nervous. But the police car pulled over a different vehicle. Then Robinson asked passenger 2 to look for the U.S. Border Patrol checkpoints that were on the Maps app. Passenger 2 is getting a little bit nervous now. Passenger 2 says, as they approached El Paso, Robinson said the passenger 2 was looking tired, and then Robinson told Bray to drive. I know this is long. Follow along. At that point, Robinson starts to coach passenger 2 on what to say if they are pulled over, and to tell the authorities that he or she was a U.S. citizen. Passenger 2 said he or she was not a citizen, but had a residency card. And then, quote, passenger 2 stated that as they approached the U.S. Border Patrol checkpoint, both Bray and Robinson got very nervous. I don't know why. Why were those dudes nervous? Because they had a body's worth of pot in the back and there were drug-sniffing dogs? Would that make you nervous? And here's where it gets good. Passenger 2 stated that Robinson told him or her, "Will you take it? I will pay you." Passenger 2 stated he or she said, "What do you mean?" To which Robinson said, "There's a lot of marijuana. Can you take it?" End quote. Freaking awesome. I mean, just outstanding. Attaboy, G. You're the man. You're driving with 157 pounds of weed. You're getting busted. And then you turn to your Uber driver and say, "Hey, yo, can you take it?"
What do you mean?
Yo, buddy. You aren't asking somebody to hold a bag for you. You're asking for somebody to hold duffel bags for you. 157 pounds in duffel bags. You don't ask an Uber driver to do that, or a Lyft driver for that matter. Yo, man. Hey, what's up? Can you do me a solid? Hey, say the 157 pounds of weed are yours. Pick me up, Home Slice. Say it's yours. Do the 20-year stretch for me, and I swear, man, I will give you a 5-star review, a 5-star rating. Oh, I'll tip you out. I got you, my man. Just say it's your dope. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Greg Robinson is an even worse drug dealer than he was an offensive tackle, and he was one of the worst offensive tackles. This guy was bad at football, but even worse at drugs. Now he's a draft bust and a drug bust. Hey-oh! And right about now, Rob Manfred is the happiest man in America, because for at least one moment, the spotlight is off of him and it's on Greg Robinson. Damn, Greg Robinson makes Commissioner of Baseball look like he's got his bleep together. Michael Oher had the blind side. Greg has got the blunt side. Second pick in the 2014 draft. As bad as Blake Bortles, who was the third pick, has been, I don't think we have to worry about Blake Bortles getting a Lyft driver to caravan a ton of meth to San Diego.